Let's start. What is the definition of instance? A phenomenon that has as its pervade. What are the three conditions for something to be an instance of something else? Not clear, not clear, not clear. Wait. First, it is that phenomenon. It is that thing which is an instance of. Second, it is intrinsically related to that thing. Third, there are many examples of not that, but that thing that it is an instance of, that phenomenon. So take pot, it follows it is an instance of functional thing. What is the definition of instance of functional thing? The phenomenon that has the type functional thing that operates as its pervader. Take pot, it follows, it fulfills the three, or it has the three properties of being an instance of functional thing. What are they? Then, which are not pot but are functional thing. Okay, great. What is the definition of generality? Okay, you'll see over here on the text the list that Kelsey's made. It says distinctions and then in the bracket it says instances. Yeah? So just remind me after we've done the list, there's a reason why this is like that. Yeah? Okay. Take instance and generality. It follows it is another way of dividing phenomena. Except, yeah, other presentations of knowable objects, right? It follows that there are other ways to present knowable objects other than generality and instance. What are they? Definition, definiendum, one and different. Exactly. One and different, definition and definiendum. Cause and effect is a separate chapter, but not all phenomena will be necessarily cause and effect because there's permanent phenomena, right? So it'll be cause and effect in that. But so there's the cause and effect generally is in the bigger one, which is established based functional thing, non-thing, all the way down. Cause and effect generally fits in the functional thing, impermanent, conditioned, produced, cause, effect list over there. Okay, what's the definition of one? Phenomena that are not diverse. What are the terminological ways to speak of one? Substantially one entity, coexistent, substantially one, indifferentiable, coexistent, substantially one. These four, okay? What is the definition of substantially one? In kindergarten, yeah. That which, yeah. So do one thing. Let's do the two. What's the definition of one entity? One entity. That's substantial. One entity. Phenomena whose essential natures are not separable. If you do that with one entity, then substantially one becomes really easy. So if you just learn one, then the other one is by default. What's the definition of one entity? Just look at it. The definition of one entity. Right? So if its essential nature is not separable, it's one entity. If it arises and its essential nature is not separable, it's substantially one. So that way you get one entity and substantially one. It's like buy one, get one free kind of thing. Right? Okay? No, because one has to arise. Substantially one has to arise. Therefore, they both have to be substantially existent, right? So what's the definition of coexistent substantially one? And they arise, cease, and endure at the same time. Yeah? What about indifferentiable substantial, coexistent substantially one? Too long. First point, it has to be substantially one. Second point, they have to arise, endure, cease together. Third, they appear to the, sorry, just say it once. Two, they appear indifferentiable, yeah. So they have to be substantially one, they have to cease, arise, endure together. And they have to be, they don't appear, they appear inseparable to the perception that they appear. So they have to appear to one perception, and the way they appear is inseparable. Right? What's the analogy of appearing as inseparable? Milk and water, exactly. What's the analogy of appearing separable? No, I mean, yeah, also, but the standard one is like the moon and the stars. Why did you like that so much more than pot and pillar? No. Okay. What is the definition of substantially different? What's the definition of substantially different? With separable natures. What's the definition of different? Diverse phenomena. What's the definition of different from pot? What is the other way of dividing knowable objects? We've done one and different, we've done generality and instance. What's the other one? What's the definition of definition? What's the definition of impermanent? That which possesses the three properties of a referent existent of impermanent. Take momentary, it follows it is the definition of impermanent. Take momentary, it follows it fulfills the definition of impermanent. Take momentary, it follows it is that which has the three properties of the referent existent of impermanent. Take momentary, why does it have the three properties of a referent existent of impermanent? Because one, it is a definition. It is generally a definition. Two, it's established in relation to its base. It here is what? So let's do it with momentary and impermanent. Momentary in general is a definition. Momentary is established in relation to its base, and momentary defines only impermanent and nothing else. Right? Okay. Take impermanent, it follows it as a definiendum. It fulfills the definition of definiendum. What is the definition of definiendum? That which has the three properties of a imputed existent. Take momentary, it follows it is the definition of, take impermanent, it follows it as a definition of definiendum of momentary. It fulfills the definition of definiendum of momentary. What is the definition of the definiendum of momentary? That which has the three properties, that which has the three properties of a imputed existent of take impermanent, it follows it as a definiendum of that which is momentary. What is the definition of definiendum of that which is momentary? Of that which is momentary. Yeah. Yeah? Is that okay? Tujhe? I'm sorry, you're right in front of me. You and Ornella I see you always. Ornella has a good poker face, you don't. So now. Do you get it? What are the three properties of being an imputed existent of momentary? So just tell me the first one. One, of being the imputed existent of momentary. Done. Momentary. And nothing else. Okay. What is the other characteristics that are needed for something to be a definition and definiendum? Huh? They have to be definition and definiendum, which means they have to be the defined object and that which defines it. And yeah, what are the 8 modes of pervasion? 2 of being, 2 of not being, 2 of existing, 2 of not existing. Can you do it with momentary and impermanent? What are the 2 laws of being of momentary and impermanent? If it is momentary, it follows it is impermanent. If it is impermanent, it follows it is momentary. 2. The 2 of not being, if it is not momentary, it follows it is not impermanent. If it is not impermanent, it follows it is not momentary. 4. 2 of existing. If impermanent exists, it follows necessarily momentary exists. If momentary exists, it follows necessarily impermanent exists. 2 of not being, not existing. If impermanent does not exist, it follows momentary does not exist. If momentary does not exist, it follows impermanence does not exist. Okay. What is the standard way of dividing knowable objects? The one that we're most familiar with. Thing and non-thing. Functional thing and non-thing. What is the definition of functional thing? Take that which is able to perform a function. It follows it is the definition of functional thing. Take that which is capable of function, it follows it is not the definition of functional thing. It follows it is not the definition of functional thing because it doesn't have the 8 modes of pervasion. It follows it doesn't have the 8 modes of pervasion because it doesn't have the 2 modes of being. What are the 2 modes of being? If it is that which is capable of function, it follows it is necessarily functional thing. Yes, except take the horns of a rabbit, it follows their functional thing because they're that which is capable of function. It follows it is not that which is capable of function. It follows it is that which is capable of function because it performs a function. It follows it performs a function. Take the horns of a rabbit, it follows it performs a function because they poke you. This is a syllogism. I'm not joking, in the future you'll do a syllogism. It follows they don't poke you. It follows they don't hurt you. Except it follows they are soft to touch. It follows they're not soft to touch. It follows they mislead you. It follows they don't mislead you. It follows then they do mislead you. It follows they're misleading. It follows they're not misleading. It follows they don't appear. It follows they do appear. Take the horns of a rabbit, it follows they appear. What mind you? That's your. It follows they appear. It follows they perform a function because it performs the function of appearing. Huh? Take the horns of a rabbit, it follows they perform the function of appearing. It follows they don't appear. It follows they are not a non-existent. Obviously, to some mind they'll appear only. They don't appear to your eye consciousness. One sec. It follows they appear to the mind. Which one? Yeah, exactly. So it appears. It follows. It performs a function. It follows. It performs a function. Huh? Because it appears. Take appearing. It follows. It is an action. Take appearing, it follows it is an action. To appear, is it a verb? Is it? Right? It follows the horns of a rabbit do the appearing. It follows they perform a function. Huh? It follows they don't appear. It follows there's no perception of the horns of a rabbit. It follows you cannot perceive the horns of a rabbit. Right. It follows you cannot perceive a self. It follows that we are all not stuck and we don't need to be here doing 4 years of Buddhist studies because there's no obstacle. There's no obstacle. Reason not established, no pervasion. Take our being here, it follows it is purposeless because there is no obstacle to our well-being. It follows there is an obstacle, which one is it? Fine, take the image of the self. It follows it appears. It follows it exists. It follows it's not to be negated. Uh-huh. There's no such answer. It follows it's not to be negated because it exists. Tsa. It follows it doesn't exist. Tsa. It follows it's not to be negated. Tsa. It follows it doesn't exist. 4 responses. It follows it doesn't exist. Mark is trying to be like, no, images there, image. We all resort to images very. So, take the image of the self. It follows it exists. It follows it is not to be negated. Because it exists. What no provision? It is not to be negated. Take the object of negation according to Buddhists. It follows it is inexistent. What is the object of negation according to Buddhists? That is not inexistent. Take a non-existent self. It follows it's an object of negation. It follows it appears. It follows it doesn't appear. It follows it's not perceived by anyone. It follows it is perceived by someone. It follows it's not perceived by anyone. I don't know, you answer my questions. It follows it's not perceived by anyone. It follows there's no one. What are you doing then? What are you fighting against? It's like Don Quixote, you're fighting against windmills. There's nothing going on. Very good. No, that's fine. So, take non-existence. It follows they appear. It follows they perform a function. Because it performs the function of appearing. So, what did you whine? Okay, so anyways, not so much with the non-existence, but just so that you know, the Vaibhashikas, they say functional thing and existent are mutually inclusive. And when they talk about the function, they don't talk about it in our terms. What is our meaning of function? That which is capable of function. What do we mean? What do we mean by that? No, what is the function? No, that's already done with compounded phenomena. Composite, conditioned phenomena is that which is fit to arise, cease and abide, right? What is the functional thing? What is the function? Which function? No, it produces its effect. That's what function means. So that which produces its function means it produces its effect. Produced means it is an effect. And conditioned is, it is arisen, therefore it is the effect of something. It is disintegrating, which is, it is producing something else. And then there's this vague enduring, which right now seems okay, but later it's confusing. Okay? Yeah.
The horns are also a physical form, right?
Horns of a rabbit.
The horn, the ears are physical form.
Yeah.
And the horns is just imagining.
So it doesn't exist?
It exists, but not as an outer physical.
No, that's fine. Does it exist?
Yes, it exists.
It follows there's no example of a non-existent?
Exactly.
Nothing is a non-existent. There's nothing that is non-existent.
There is something that is.
Give me an example. Give me an example of a non-existent. Give me an example. Take the elephant in this room. It follows it exists. It follows there's no elephant in this room. It follows that there is an elephant in this room because it's imaginary.
I know that. I don't imagine this elephant right now.
No. Someone is imagining an elephant in a room. I am. So that's the thing. This non-existent, it'll get progressively more interesting. Okay. Anyways, what are the divisions of functional thing? Just remember, functional thing means perform a function, which means produce its object. That's all it means. Its effect. Yeah. What are the divisions of functional thing? Matter, consciousness, non-associated, formative factors. What is the definition of matter? That which is atomically established. What's the definition of material phenomenon? That which is capable of materiality. What are the divisions of matter? Outer material phenomenon, inner material phenomenon, mental sense object, primary elements from which the first three arise. What are the four divisions of primary element? Earth, water, fire, air. What is the definition of earth? Fire, air, water. What are the divisions of outer material phenomena? No. Divisions. Visual form, smell, taste, sound, tactility base. What are the, we'll do today, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we'll do one. What are the divisions of visual form? What is the definition of visual form? What are the definition of color? What's the definition of shape? Fit to be a configuration. What are the divisions of color? What are the divisions of primary color? Blue, yellow, red, white. What are the divisions of secondary color? Kela?
Light, sunlight, cloud, mist, darkness, shadow, dust, smoke.
Right. What are the divisions of shape? You have a little high, low, long, short, even, uneven, smooth, rough. Smooth, rough, shape, even, uneven. Okay. Fine. Half an hour, all done, except for the other ones. Not bad, no? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay?
Question at the new sheet that we received.
Yeah, tell me.
So, what does terminological division mean? Because
Terminological division?
it's not the division that we're normally.
Yeah. So terminological, you'll come across this a lot. Terminology. So actually, I had this issue on Friday also. I think it's better that, I mean, I don't know if it's better, but I think if I emphasize it once now, and then I'll emphasize it 100 million times, it'll be helpful because, you know, when you do the reasoning of, like, say, emptiness, which comes later, things don't exist objectively because they're not objectively one or not objectively different, or they are not one, they are not many. You'll hear this again and again and again. And it's kind of the main reason to talk about emptiness, selflessness. Even with selflessness, and even this year, you say it's not substantially one, it's not one entity, it's not objectively one. You say this many times. Because there's such repeated usage of this word, and all these different authors don't have they use it kind of unqualified at times. They don't say whether they're talking about substantially one. They don't say whether they're talking about one entity. They don't say whether they're talking about, what was that other one? Do you remember? Same substantial entity, one substantial type, same substantial type. They don't clarify necessarily if they're talking about one isolate, and they just throw in this one, or they just bring it up. If you can't contextualize what it is, then you get very confused. Especially when it comes to the one on emptiness, because we were having this discussion the other day, not here, and everyone, I was like, what do you mean by not objectively one? What is one? And sometimes they'll say one means something, then in another moment they'll say it means another thing, then because Chandrakirti says something, they'll say, oh, it means that thing. But that's not how then it's not clear, because you don't have a clear understanding, you don't have a clear target, so to speak, and you can't analyze one thing. You can't run it down to its necessary conclusion. So to prevent that ambiguity, in Dudra what they've done is they said one, strictly speaking, one by definition means phenomena that are not diverse. Where diverse and not diverse is how they are conceptualized and how they are spoken of. So it's a linguistic and conceptual diversity and not. That's what one and different strictly means. Okay, Anastasia, is that clear? Then I'm carrying on, huh? But till this, so this is what one means. If anyone asks you what is the definition of one, that's what it means. But every now and then you'll come across the usage of the word one, which goes beyond just its strict definition. And there it will either mean substantially one, or it will mean one entity, and very rarely it will mean one substantial type. Those three occasions where it qualifies one in these ways are not actual divisions of one. So they are merely terminological. It's like calling a stone lion a lion. Those are the examples, right? You call a stone lion a lion even though it's not a lion. So it's not a technical division of lion. It's not a real division. It's terminological, right? Why do you use the term lion for a stone lion? Because it's similar. So then there's a whole set of qualities of what is needed for something to be terminologically referred to. So because one entity and substantially one is now talking about it in relation to direct perception, you can speak of it as one, but it's not strictly one. So everything that is a terminological division is not a real division. Red, blue, green, yellow are real divisions of primary color. Yeah? That's what it means. So just remember this always, because when you find the word one, starting from today forever, because you'll come across it a lot, you has to be immediately clear which one is being referred to. Otherwise you spend a lot of time just dancing around the various meanings of one, and then you're left with like neither here nor there, and there's no clarity whatsoever. Okay? Is that okay? Yeah. Okay. Reverse. How's the? I saw that you were all debating the reverses on Friday. That was. You're okay. Can we go ahead? Great. So we're skipping substantial phenomena and abstract phenomena for now. Today we'll do contradiction. Page 174, explaining contradiction. Thank you. Okay. The definition of contradiction is, oh, straight, how nice. Distinct phenomena with no possible common locus between them. Yeah? So then the divisions of contradictory are contradictory through incompatibility and contradictory through mutual exclusion. What's the definition of contradictory? Let's just get used to it. What's the definition of contradictory? This distinct is referring to what? No. Distinct in the definition of contradictory, it says, no, Venerable. It says distinct phenomena. This distinct is what? Where else have we come across the term distinct? Different. In the definition of different phenomena that are diverse, right? Yeah, this distinct should be diverse. No, but leave it as distinct, it's fine, it doesn't make any difference. Please, I'm so sorry. I'm just doing it for myself. Okay. And then, this is a very literal translation with no possible common locus between them, that's fine. Okay. There's two, contradictory through incompatibility and contradictory through mutual exclusion. Let's just do it first. Take pot and impermanent, it follows they're contradictory. Pot and impermanent. Take pot and impermanent, it follows they're not contradictory. It follows they are contradictory because they fulfill the definition of contradictory. What is the definition of contradictory? Take pot and impermanent, it follows the distinct phenomena. Except. Pot and impermanent, why are they distinct? Why are they diverse? They are conceptually different, or linguistically they have different reference. Yeah? Is that okay? So that's what I'm saying. When you say one, when you say diverse, you should instantly connect it to linguistic conceptual. Otherwise, then you'll be like, why are they diverse? See, Anastasia, you ask your question. When we say diverse, you can think of it in different ways. Terminologically, you can say, are they really two separate entities? Do they have different essential natures? You can do all of that. That's not important. Right now, we've used the word diverse. We're in a technical context. It has a technical meaning. Diverse means it doesn't appear, it appears different to the conceptual mind. Linguistically, it is diverse. The quicker you make this connection, the less you will prevent suffering for yourself, because otherwise it's vague. Is that okay? So when we use the word diverse, unless specified, it is always the diverse from different. And that is always with respect to conceptualization and language. Okay? Is that clear? So you should... Diverse is the definition of different, no? The definition of different is phenomena that are diverse. Yeah? But that diverse and different is always in relation to conceptual linguistic. Please get this quickly, otherwise then you will spend a lot of time being unclear now, and then later when you do Madhyamika, you'll be extremely unclear. Yeah? Yeah.
To me, terminological would suggest that it's just different terms that mean the same thing.
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's not.
Sorry, I didn't.
So, please explain it. No, I want to hear it. What is a terminological division? Why are we calling it a terminological division? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Is that clear? It's a perfect answer, actually. It's not... Actually, can you just take a mic and say it? It's good that you're saying it aloud. Tujhe na tasla. So why do we say it's a terminological division and not a real division, right? We're opposing terminological division from real division. So why is it not a real division?
Because it's not a generality and its instance.
Right.
So it's not... So if it is color, it is visible form. But if it is one entity, it is not one.
So give me an example of something that is one entity but not one.
One entity, pot and shape.
Exactly. Pot and shape are one entity. They're one entity, right? Because they're not separable. You can't separate shape like from a pot. If you have a pot, you have to have shape. You can't separate. Are they one? Why are they not one? Is that clear? Let's make this clear again. Why are they diverse? Take pot and shape. Why are they diverse? Because shape can refer to many things. It doesn't always have to refer to pot. Also, when you refer to pot, you don't have to think of shape simultaneously. Is that clear? Okay. You need to start asking the question if it's not clear now. Because one and different is really going to get... It's important forever. It's going to be important for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner, for tea, for sleep. Always. So if I'm going to go forward and you haven't asked me your one and different questions today, I'm going to assume that you've got it. So if it's not clear, now is the time. Technically it was before, but we're back to it now. It's fundamental, yeah. Why? Ah, you had more to say, huh? I mean, yeah, India got independence in 1947. So what? Why? Tell me why. I want to know the why. Just knowing a statement doesn't help anyone. Why? Again, you're learning formulas. I want to know what you've understood. Exactly. Conceptually. Is that clear though? Are you sure? Okay, that's important. If you learn a formula, you know it just as long as your memory serves you to remember that formula. It's like me getting high marks in math, I told you. It served the purpose of May 2000 and, what was it? 5. Period. If you learn formulas, you won't get it. So don't try and write it down and just, is there an English word for ratta? Rote, is it? By rote, yeah? By rote. Oh, maybe that's where ratta comes from. Oh, nice. We say ratta. 1 second, Martin, 1 second, okay? So don't just memorize this, please. One and different is, you have to memorize the formula, but you have to understand it more importantly. Then you can say it with whatever words you want. I need to know that you understood what's going on. Is that clear, Annette? Yes. No, that's it right now. That's it. And then verbally, you can refer to pots and shapes as different things. Right? Right, yeah. 1 sec, Martin.
Pot and shape is an example for one entity, right?
Yes, they are one entity.
So, but pot and shape are not one, for
They're
sure,
not one.
because the first is they are separatable.
No, that's the one entity. In the separatable essential natures is to do with one entity, not to do with one.
But the reason, because pot and shape is not one, is that are not that are inseparable to, or what
No,
is it?
what's the definition of one entity? Where do you find the word separable being brought up? You find it only in one entity and substantially one.
Okay.
It's not there in one and different.
Oh.
So what is good? So what does separable mean then? Yeah, this has to be clear. I'm going to, even contradictory and related, now we're going to start doing contradictory and related. One and different is essential. It's in the definition of both related and in the definition of contradictory. So this has to be clear. Even if we have to spend today doing this without going forward, I need to make sure that you've understood this. So, Martin, what's your doubt?
I just wanted to repeat what you're saying.
Okay, I'm saying, but the text is already saying. So tell me, why do you think pot and shape are one entity?
Because it's a definition, we did it here in the definition, it's our...
Yeah, I know,
our
but what are you thinking from that? What we've done here, we've done. What are you thinking? When you think they are, when you check whether two things are one entity, what is your criteria for checking whether they are one entity or not?
So if there's pot, there must be shape.
Okay, a little bit more.
Pot have a color, for example.
But what's that got to do with shape?
No, it's other examples.
No, which shape? Just which shape? What are the reasons why we think?
When I see pot, I see shape.
Right, they
It's
don't
simple.
appear different to direct perception, which the text gave as one reason.
To the eye consciousness.
Exactly, and the definition?
What? Of what?
Pot and shape being one entity, they don't have separable essential natures.
Yes.
One, substantially one, they don't arise with separable essential natures, right? These are the criteria. So when you're checking if two things are one entity, you have to check two parts. One, do they have separable essential natures, right? And then you can also check whether when you see them or perceive them, not with the conceptual mind, then do they appear different or not? Currently, that's your go-to. You have two criteria to test for one entity and substantially one. Okay? Yeah?
Sound of pot.
So pot and sound of pot are the question mark ones. Let's not make it complicated. Let's at least get the easy ones straight first. Everyone should know that there's like a checklist. What are you checking for whether they are one entity or not? So let's not get the difficult ones in. Those are for debate later, right? So what is it? The checklist. What is the checklist for two things being one entity? and exactly perception and separate essential natures or not. That's it.
But how do you, does it have to be to one direct mind
Yes.
for it not to?
You have to check those. You're checking those two elements. Those are the two elements that you have to check, which doesn't mean that if it's not both, it's not one entity. You're checking these two as how do you orient yourself? Because if you wanted to say pot and shape they don't have separable natures, it'll help if you think of it in terms of how you perceive it. That's what I mean, okay? It doesn't mean that if they are not perceptible to one consciousness, they are not one entity. We had this debate in class already, yeah?
In our old definition says.
Yeah, but Mark, don't do that. Don't bring that in. Don't bring that in. Don't say that right now because then everyone else will get confused. Yeah? Okay. Yeah. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Yeah. Exactly. So just whatever that means for you right now, let it keep getting enriched with many examples. Essential natures is, if you use many examples, then you start to get a vague idea of what essential nature is. But the essential nature of two things is not separable when one of those two has the nature of the other one. Most often than not. So why is the essential nature of shape not separable from pot? Because the pot is shape, for example. Why is the essential nature of color not separable from pot? Pot is not color, pot is shape. But why is it not separable from pot? Because you can't extract color from a pot. Why? Because remember, matter has to be made up of 8 things. So if you can't extract something from something else, you can't take it out, and it's always going to go with it, then it's not a separable nature. Yeah? But just because they're always going together, it doesn't mean that they have to be inseparable natures. That's why we have coexisting, which is not necessarily substantially one. Right? So that's why all of these different parameters have been laid out. So separable nature or not is when two things are of the same nature and one cannot be extracted from the other. If you're checking between one and one entity, then you can only have one thing. Exactly, because you're checking for one. Are not separable entities. One sec, but they're not one. Take shape of pot and pot, it follows they're one. First answer now. Are they one? Good, that's right, that's right. That's fine. For right now, that's fine. Then it'll get more refined. But at least what I mean is, all of you should at least have something that you're thinking. Then when you do it with debate, then you'll test whether your thinking is accurate. But if you walked in and you have no reasoning behind it, then it's not going to get clear. So this, that you have 2 different words, that's fine right now. Then we'll test as time moves forward. So then pot and shape are different? Are they one entity? Yeah?
So I want to have this really clear, the 2 questions you did. What was it? For the checklist. Check
You tell
one
me
entity. How can I when I don't know?
Take pot and shape. Are they one entity?
Yes.
Why?
Shape of pot.
No, shape.
Because when I see pot, I see shape.
Okay, so you have something to think. Take pot and shape. Are they one?
No.
Why?
A pot is a pot and shape can be another shape of a flower or something
Okay.
like this.
Take impermanent and product. Are they one entity?
I think yes.
Why?
Because when it is a product, it must be impermanent.
Are they one?
No.
Why? These things, now you need to start doing in debate. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, all of you, it's good that you have your doubts and that you ask me, but now we're entering the specialization phase. Now you need to refine your understanding. And the refinement of your understanding is not contingent on the class, it's not contingent on the review, it's contingent on your debate. So now you have this little doubt, that should be something that you debate and then you'll see what comes up. Yeah? So,
Okay.
Can impermanent and product be one or not? Is a doubt that you have. We have said, according to Thugje, for instance, they're not one. We said it before. They're not one because they have different meanings. So they appear conceptually different. But if you're still not clear and you want to test it, then test it in debate. Okay?
So they appear
Cool.
different to your conception.
Yeah.
And they each have a different definition?
Yeah, that's also fine. Exactly, exactly. Just add on whatever meaning you need to add on to it. Yeah.
So I was trying to work on this weekend and got stuck with actually, substantially different and different entities because the example given in the book was the same, pillar and vase.
What's the relation between substantially different and different entities? Is that what you're stuck with?
Yeah.
Great. So tonight at 6:30 when you descend, let that be your first one. See what I mean?
Yeah, but if I have, where I got stuck is the examples are the same. So then if I just give those examples, it's not going to tell me anything.
But are you doing it like with a mirror? Are you debating with a mirror in this evening? You're debating with another human being, thinking, breathing,
So it has to
reasoning.
be someone who understood this.
No.
Yeah, maybe
It can be
everyone
two
else
people who've
understands.
walked in and they don't know what's going on and they're testing the waters.
Yeah, but if we're just like, yeah, okay, vase, okay, pillar, and then we're like,
It's
yeah,
fine, it's
we
fine,
got
it's
it
fine.
right.
And then there'll be a group debate and then you'll be like, yeah, okay, vase, and someone will look at you and say, what are you guys saying? It's a lot more dynamic as a process than just getting in and doing it. Just stay with it, trust me. The examples are there. What is the difference in the definition? So what are you not looking at? What is the difference in the definition?
Well, one arises, but I'm not quite getting what that's meaning. Like,
But we said that. What does arise mean? Arise is a quality of what?
impermanence.
And so if two things are one entity, do they have to be impermanent? By definition.
By, do they have to be impermanent or
Yeah.
permanent? Yes.
To be one entity.
Oh,
Which part of the
no.
definition necessitates them to
No.
be impermanent with one entity?
So I'm doing different entities, but anyway.
Same thing, different
thing.
entities. For two things to be different entities, does it say anywhere that they need to be impermanent?
No,
For them to be
Yeah.
substantially different, do they need to be impermanent?
yes,
So you already have a clue there, right?
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, it was just this arising thing, like, I don't know. I don't know if you could give like an example of what that means.
Of
like,
arising.
yeah.
Wait,
in
weren't
terms
you,
of two, in
weren't,
terms of two things.
weren't you doing all of these? Wasn't this you?
Yep. Okay. What? Two arms arising at
So-
the same time.
Tujhe, if you want to do sign language, this is, what was it? Arise.
That was arising.
This is endure.
Endure.
And this is cease. So two things that arise together are two things that do this,
Okay.
and then when they endure,
I can work
and then
with
this
that.
is, no,
Okay.
think of it like this, we said it. When you make a pot, can you not make a shape? Can you say I'm going to make a pot but not
like
a shape?
that. Okay.
Can you
Okay.
do that?
No.
You can't,
Yeah,
right? So
okay.
when a pot arises, along with a pot, a shape also has to arise.
Ah, okay.
Can you say I'm going to make a pot but I'm not going to make something that is matter? You can't.
Right.
Can you say I'm going to make a pot, but I'm not going to make something that is smell? I'm not saying the pot is smell, but when the pot arises, even the smell of the pot arises simultaneously. You can't say I'm going to make a pot that has no smell. It doesn't exist, right?
Yeah.
Even hypoallergenic dogs, when they're born, genetically they do have some smell. They don't have a smell that makes you sneeze. So when something arises, if it's matter, all of these 8 things have to arise always. You don't have the freedom to choose and separate. Similarly, if consciousness arises, something that is cognizant arises with it. You can't say I want to have a state of mind that is not cognizant by nature, right? So that's what arise means. There are 2 things. What 2? They are different conceptually.
Like main mind and
Like?
like a main mind and mental
And mental
factor.
factors, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay? One and different, we need to clear this now. If you don't ask me now, I'm going to take it for granted that you've understood it. Because I'm not a mind reader yet. I'm practicing in Bhagsu every now and then, but I haven't learned. So until I can know your thoughts, you have to communicate them. Okay? Yeah.
What did you
tell
just
me.
say?
Nothing. Just carry on.
Okay. So if they're terminological divisions, they necessarily are not instances, or they're not
So
necessarily
they're not
instances?
necessarily instances.
So they can be instances.
They can sometimes be instances, but they're not necessarily instances.
And then if it's terminological, it might mean that it just happens that these have the same terms,
Exactly,
but
that's
they're
what it
not
means.
necessarily.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That's what terminological means over here. Okay? Yeah, of course. Can you just give Olga the mic, please? No, they need to record it so that later when you're sitting there and you want to hear your voice, at least it's been recorded.
Okay, what is a practical purpose to know about one isolate? Just that
Practical purpose.
Hmm?
Yeah, there, fine. Liberation. No, it's
not final.
the practical purpose of learning about isolates is the only way that you can understand how the conceptual mind works is by two ways. One is how it engages, and two is what it engages in. And so the conceptual mind is always going to engage in isolates. That's why it's extremely important that you learn about isolates. That's the short answer. Yeah? What? Yeah, but it's beautiful. I asked Kelsey to put it there. She didn't put it. But what does it say? I know, but what does it say? There you go, bus. That's all that we care about right now, right? You see what we're doing, no? It's like a spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down. We're taking the word isolate and we're sugar coating it and we're feeding it to you subconsciously, unconsciously, on the left, on the right. But you've got the gist of it now, okay? Yeah? No, we're not getting that. Okay. 5, 4, end of discussion on one and different. I'm moving forward. If it's not clear, you have till the next 5 seconds to ask me. You can debate on it every day, of course. Or you mean in the afternoon? No, look, you can bring your doubts in the afternoon, but I'm saying I'm going ahead with contradictory. Contradictory has different in the definition. If you haven't understood different, you're not going to understand contradictory. So someone has to ask.
Same substantial type, I was thinking, should be under different rather than under one.
It's terminological, Mark. Don't make that this problem. You're making the same, you just asked and now you're contradicting yourself, okay? Okay? It's so personal, how can I say? If in your map you can accommodate for terminological differences, make it. If you can't, then don't make it. It's really going to depend, right? Like it's in my map, it's always been in my map, but it's in my map of terminological divisions. If your map is strictly divisions and you put that in, if it leads to confusion, then it's better you don't. But that's going to be your personal thing, right? Yeah.
What was the formula for one and different?
You used to all study like us in board exams in India. It's horrible. What do you mean, what's the formula?
What's the She said the formula. No, the checklist is perception and direct perception.
That's it.
Oh, that's the formula?
Jay, tonight at 6:30, you're debating this. There's no, one sec, just so that you're all clear, there's no hack. There's no hack to Buddhism, unfortunately. It's not there. You're going to have to make sense of it. So the formula for one and different is, linguistically and conceptually, are they the same thing? For one entity, it is, do they have separable natures, which then can be checked by seeing, do they arise with separable natures? Can they be extracted from each other? Do they appear to the direct perception as two distinct things or not? But those are just ways that you have right now to orient yourself. Don't think it's going to be a definitive answer.
I think that's what my guess here is like 80% is debatable and only
Yes, but absolutely. If you've got that, that's excellent. It really is like that, right?
the 80% never wrong.
Maya?
Sorry, I'm having a brain loop.
Yeah, yeah.
So it is one and diverse, they have to be mutually exclusive.
If two things are?
One and diverse, they're mutually
Yeah,
exclusive.
with each other you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so if it is one with, doesn't it mean that it's also necessarily mutually exclusive with essentially one?
Give an example. I think best is make an example with what you're thinking. Make an example. Do one with pot and then mutually. Do it. Tie it to something. Don't stay vague.
Okay. One with pot and pot, they're the same, and they appear to the mind as the same.
Right.
Right. But impermanence of pot and pot,
Yeah.
they're of the same nature.
Exactly. They're one entity. So let's
They're
use one entity. Yeah.
Sorry.
And substantially one also. Both.
Okay. So they are one entity,
Yes.
but they have to be two distinct phenomena, isn't
They
it?
are distinct
So
phenomena.
if they are distinct phenomena, they're not one
With each other, except.
So they have to be mutually exclusive.
They don't have to be mutually exclusive. For instance, impermanence and product, impermanent and product, right? It's not always. It's so beautiful what you're doing. You're trying to find the one size fits all. But it doesn't exist. That's my point. The whole point is it doesn't exist because phenomena relate in different ways. So sometimes you will find things that are one entity that have to be mutually exclusive. Then you will find things that are one entity that are mutually inclusive. Then you will find things that are one entity that have 3 possibilities. And then you will find things that are one entity that have 4 possibilities. So there is no one size fits all. Yeah? Okay? It's okay, this is good. Try and find one size fits all, it's great. Now, yes, absolutely. But now, yeah, absolutely. Yes, but when you're fitting it under different, yes, but why we're fitting it under one entity, under one is because it's got the term one. You say one entity. That's why you're classifying it with one. Terminologically. That's why it's a terminological division. Got it? Yeah.
So we can make our own divisions with that without just plop it out of one and then make it into divisions for our minds?
You can do whatever you want. But here, I'm going to expect you to say what the text says.
Okay.
Because that's the only way you're communicating with each other.
Yeah, but I think that was why I was hyper confused, is because things didn't seem to be one, and then we put them all under one.
Because the
Yeah,
terminological
because of the
divisions
word
of one. yeah.
one. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Is terminological maybe not the right word? What's a better translation then? In Tibetan, it's de juri ki goneyewa, which means it's expressed because there is a similar sound. That's what it means. So I don't know how to translate that. It's just been always translated as terminological. Anyway, I think you got it. Contradiction, come on. Okay? So Kamalashila's Light of the Middle Way says, thus contradiction amongst things is to be posited as being of 2 types, those characterized as incompatible through not abiding together, and those characterized as mutually exclusive through eliminating each other. The characteristics of these 2 are then explained. When the presence of something constitutes the incompleteness of a specific effect, then the presence of that confirms the absence of its opposite. Such examples are posited as the first type of contradictions. For example, the tactile sensation of hot and cold. Thus, Kamalashila explains how certain types of phenomena are posited as contradictory through not abiding together because a potent agent, which undermines the arising of its opposite when none of its causes is incomplete, prevents the continued presence of that phenomena. Yeah? So, 2 things are contradictory as not abiding together, or contradictory through incompatibility, when there's 2 things They are near each other, they are in the same space, or they are in the same place, time, and one undermines the continuation of the other. So yeah, but one sec. Before you do hot and cold, do it. There's a fun example, which is a crow and a owl. I don't know how true this is. Apparently, crows and owls don't get along, or like a mouse and a cat, right? So if you have them together, one is going to hamper or harm the continuation of the other. So cold and hot over here is in the sense that if you're in a cold room and you put the heater on, there will be a moment when the heat and the cold coexist, but the presence of the heat will make the cold gradually go away. This is the kind of incompatibility you're talking about. So the other example is wisdom of selflessness and ignorance. It's not like when you have wisdom of selflessness, suddenly everything's good, right? You still have to stay at it. But the more you cultivate it, it makes the other one gradually go away. So they're incompatible in that sense. Is that okay? Yeah? So that's the first kind of contradiction. What do you think I'm going to say now? Yeah. The same text then continues. When the positive determination of one is not possible without the exclusion of the other, the two things are posited as the second type of contradiction. Right? For example, with respect to a specific basis, when one exists and that other does not exist. Okay? Now, the second one, so this statement clearly explains direct contradiction or contradictory through incompatibility. So one sec, just carry on. First, contradictory through incompatibility refers to things that cannot assist each other in a supportive capacity. For those that are incompatible, an instance of direct contradiction is posited as the pair hot and cold, and an instance of indirect contradiction is posited as the pair strongly billowing smoke and cold contact. So, strongly billowing smoke. Okay. When there's heat is directly affecting the cold, right? Strongly billowing smoke. Yeah? Yeah. So what it means basically is why we're saying strongly billowing is it's the smoke that's very close to the source of fire. You know, when you see smoke in the sky, it's spread out and it's kind of just gently floating around. Strongly billowing is when it's very close to the source. It's when combustion has just happened and there's that strong, dense kind of smoke. That's what strongly billowing is. So, when you see strongly billowing smoke, you understand that there's heat, and that's how you understand that there is cold will not be there for very long. So if you're freezing and you see smoke floating around in the sky, doesn't help you, you don't know where to go. But if you see strongly billowing smoke and you want to warm up, you can go there and you warm up. That's what it means, okay? Whereas heat is directly affecting it. Yeah? Okay? So two things can be incompatible. When one doesn't support the other, it harms its existence. Okay? And then when they have this kind of contradiction, the kind of contradiction can be direct, where it's like a disease and medicine, it's direct. Or it's like a disease and then someone will prescribe yoga. So you're doing things which are strengthening the organs, and the organs are therefore being able to counter the ailment. So it's indirectly incompatible with that condition, right? Okay? So those are the kind of examples. Yeah? Is that okay? Yeah, okay. What? What do you mean? Wow. Okay. Furthermore, yeah, in the second case, though strongly billowing smoke cannot directly harm cold tactile sensation, it can indirectly harm it. Why? Wherever strongly billowing smoke exists, there fire necessarily exists. And since fire is capable of directly excluding the sensation of cold, then smoke, that is its effect, excludes cold tactile sensation and cannot abide together with it. Why are they doing this? Why are they doing this? You'll be like, why are they talking about these things? What is directly contradicting the continuation of ignorance? Wisdom. What is indirectly contradicting attachment? Wisdom. What is the effect of wisdom? Certain conceptualizations. Those conceptualizations, they might not be directly contradicting ignorance, but because they are connected to wisdom, they are indirectly, their presence guarantees the presence of wisdom, and then that contradicts it. So when you're doing the mind and mental factors and you're doing negative emotions, positive emotions, what acts as an antidote, what doesn't act as an antidote, there's two ways. They are either directly contradicting each other, or they are indirectly contradicting each other or indirectly being contradicted. That's why this is there. It's not just so that you know how matter works, right? It's easier to understand like this. Is that okay? Yeah? Okay. Question, exactly in what way do the contact of hot and cold act directly as the agent that harms and the object harm for each other? It is stated that the heat that possesses numerous temporal moments and the cold that possesses numerous temporal moments act mutually and directly as the agent that harms and the object harmed. For example, Dharmottara says in an extensive commentary on the drop of reasoning, given that both hot and cold are phenomena that are produced by their causes and are the producers of their effects, it is their two continua that exclude each other. The individual moments of each other are not exclusive, mutually exclusive or contradictory. Does that make sense? Which means you can't have them be together for a long time. They can be together, but not for a long time, right? That's what this means. You know, like sometimes you have two people who don't get along, and you call both of them over for dinner, and then you're like, oh God, it's going to last like 3 minutes and they're going to start going at each other, like that, right? And then they murder each other like Naga says. Yeah. That's what this means, okay? Yeah. So they can't be together. Their continua are not compatible. It doesn't mean that they can never be together. That's what that means, okay? Yeah? Clear? The way in which the pair light and darkness and the pair hot and cold act as agents that harm and objects that are harmed are different. Oh, this is so nice. If we take the example of light and darkness, they act as the agent that harms and the object harmed, since the production of light and the cessation of darkness are simultaneous. And that is because at a specific place, the production of light as a manifest state and the cessation of darkness that eliminates light as a manifest state are simultaneous. Furthermore, it is because of the simultaneity of the light being already produced and the darkness that counters light having already ceased at a specific site that neither the continuum of light or darkness is able to assist the other in a commensurate supportive capacity in that location. This is really beautiful. Yeah.
I wonder why the word harm is chosen instead of make cease or dissolute or because it has a connotation for the moment for me.
Oh, okay. No, harm just means it obstacles the other one. It prevents the other one from happening. So that in Tibetan or in Sanskrit also the word is harm. But harm doesn't mean with intention. That's not what harm means. Like when a bird comes and eats your seed that you've planted outside, it's not doing it with bad intentions. That's just what it does. But it harms your crop. That's it. It prevents the opposite from arising. That's all it means. Yeah. Threatens, harms, why? Okay? Yeah.
Because at a specific place, the production of light as a manifest state, and the cessation of darkness that
Yeah.
Light is a manifest state, so how can?
Or the other way around, no? They both harm each other. It's not just light harming darkness. So when there is light in a manifest state, in that place at that time, the opposing darkness is not manifest in that same place at that same time. And when the darkness is manifest, the light that gets opposed by that darkness is not there at that time. You agree with this? Again, one of my teachers, he did such a beautiful debate once. Do you all agree with this? Do you agree with this? Light and darkness don't coexist? Yes. Yeah? All of you agree? Gen did such a beautiful debate once. Take dawn, it follows it doesn't exist. Dawn. Dawn, dusk. Twilight. Just answer my question. Take dawn, it follows it exists. Take dawn, it follows it doesn't exist. Take dawn, it follows it's light. It follows there's no darkness. Except? Except? So take dawn and 12 in the afternoon, it follows there's no difference. Dawn and noon. No, dawn and noon, not dawn in the noon. Take dawn and noon, it follows there's no difference. It follows there is a difference. There is a difference in terms of how much light there is. It follows there's a difference in terms of how much darkness there is. It follows that there is darkness at dawn. It follows there's no darkness at dawn because there's light. So it follows there's no light at dawn. It follows there is light at dawn. It follows there's no darkness at dawn. I'm asking you that. You just have to say except and why. You're still positing the same thing, but with short words. Take dawn, it follows there's no darkness. Except, it follows there's no darkness at dawn. Except, it follows there's the same amount of light at dawn as there is at noon. It follows there's less light at dawn. It follows that less light means that there is some darkness at dawn. It follows there's no darkness at dawn. It follows that as the sun comes further up, it doesn't eliminate more darkness. Huh? Why? It does eliminate more darkness. It follows that there has to be some darkness for it to eliminate. It follows there's no darkness for it to eliminate. It follows there's no more darkness that gets eliminated after 6 a.m. Clearly you don't wake up early. Huh? Is there more darkness that gets eliminated? It follows there is some darkness at dawn. Follows there's no darkness at dawn because there's light. So take light and darkness. It follows they are not mutually inclusive as incompatible where the existence of one contradicts the other, but not like hot and cold where they coexist and one goes away, but where they are simultaneously not existing together. Is that how it is? Take the way in which cold and light and darkness contradict each other. It follows it's not like hot and cold where they stay together and then the continuum of one harms the continuum of the other. It follows it is like that with light and darkness. It follows this whole paragraph is pointless. Don't. Yeah? The example of light and darkness for all of us great Buddhist fans is the path of seeing. At the path of seeing, there's no ignorance. There's no ignorance. There's no manifest ignorance. But it's an antidote to ignorance, right? The first time you get an antidote is at the path of seeing. Before that, it's all muscle building. Literally, it is. It's just muscle building. Nothing's happening. Like you're not eliminated anything, right? Where you really get into like the Olympics and you're doing it and you're winning is at the path of seeing. Before that, it's the prep. But at the path of seeing, there is no obstacle. It's direct insight into selflessness. So then they say, well, how are you eliminating something if the thing is not there? And the analogy is it's like light eliminating darkness. Even though the darkness is not there when the light is there, the darkness going away is because of the light. So the way of eliminating ignorance by direct perception of emptiness is light and darkness. That's why it's an important example. Yeah, okay? To which, just to show you how great the teachers are, well, they'll even debate something like this. They'll say, what about dawn? What happens at dawn? Is there no light? Is there no darkness? How are these two going on? What kind of example is this? Right? And so there's this. When we study this, we debate this for about a month because there's one presentation in Lama Tsongkhapa's earlier phase of his life. Then there's another presentation in his middle phase. Then there's a third presentation in his later phase. And then there's other traditions that go on differently. So if you're expecting a tailor-made response that's going to satisfy you now, already know it's not possible. Okay? But it's an important topic. Okay? So you've got that? Okay. Then if we take the example of hot and cold, when a hot sensation counters a cold sensation, the object harmed by it, which is a cold sensation, sorry. So I'll read it again. If we take the example of hot and cold, when a hot sensation counters a cold sensation, which is the object harmed by it, it counters rapidly in the third moment. So if you're feeling cold and you go stand out in the sun, it's not like the cold just vanishes. You still feel cold and the sunlight touches your skin and then you gradually warm up, right? So there is a moment when there's heat and cold together. It's not like light and darkness. That's the example. In the first moment, both hot and cold make contact. In the second moment, the potency of coldness declines. And in the third moment, the continuum of coldness is stopped. Correct? This form is used as an example to show that the aggregates, the contaminated aggregates, can be removed by wisdom of selflessness. So not ignorance, but the aggregates. So the light and dark is like ignorance and wisdom, and the aggregates and wisdom is like hot and cold. Yeah, that's how this is explained. Okay? And though this is true regarding the rate of interaction, still the greater the potency of the countering agent in the course of a series of moments, the smaller the corresponding potency of the object countered. So if you've got really strong heat, the cold will go really fast. It's like when you defrost something, right? If you put it in lukewarm water, it takes really long to defrost. If you put it in really hot water, it's really fast. If you're standing in the hot summer sun, it goes faster. If you're standing in that mild winter sun, it takes longer. So not only one will make the other one go away, but the strength and the potency of the counteracting agent of the antidote is going to determine the duration of the obstacle of whatever is to be countered. Does that make sense? It's quite obvious, right? Okay. Dharmottara's explanation of ascertainment of valid cognition states, therefore, with respect to that which removes the other, if it is done rapidly, the other will be eliminated in the third moment. Okay? Now, the moment referred here is not the shortest moment, but a moment required for completing an action that is composed of many such shortest moments. Explanation of ascertainment of valid cognition states, given this, mutual exclusions here are not of single moments, they are phenomena possessing continua. Okay? Furthermore, when contradiction through incompatibility is differentiated, there are two types: contradictory material forms that are incompatible and contradictory cognitions. This entire thing of material forms is to understand cognitions. Cognitions is how antidotes and objects to be abandoned work. Examples of the first include hot and cold or light and dark. An example of the second is, yeah, okay. It is impossible. If it is impossible that two things abide together, it is not necessarily the case that they are contradictory through incompatibility. Is that true? Without looking, don't read. If two things do not abide together, it follows they are contradictory as being incompatible. You read seed and sprout, no? For example? Soulmates. They don't abide together. Why? Like long distance soulmates, like COVID lovers. Okay. If two things do not abide together, it doesn't mean that they are contradictory as abiding inharmoniously. And Naga's example is long distance soulmate. Oh, oh, they're destined to meet, they haven't yet met. Okay, that kind of soulmate. Wow. Okay. Oh, you're talking about, that's quite a, what is those? What are those things called? Star, there's these weird words. No, there's something, like some new agey thing where, yeah, where my other soulmate, twin flame, that's it, right? Twin flames, that's the one. That's it. Yeah, okay. So for the example here is not so. For example, it is impossible that both the seed and the sprout, that is its effect, abide together since they are cause and effect, but they are not contradictory through being incompatible, since these two exist in the relation of the agent that benefits and the object benefited, and not the agent that harms and the object harmed. So the seed, the existence of the seed necessitates the non-existence of the sprout. And once the sprout exists, it has to prevent the seed from existing. But the seed doesn't harm the existence of the sprout, it benefits the existence of the sprout. Yeah? In that sense. Yeah? Therefore, something such as hot and cold do not abide together because they do not abide together continuously without one acting to harm the other. Yeah, see? 25,000 verse Perfection of Wisdom Sutra states, Subhuti, it is like this, when sun shines, no possibility remains for darkness to exist. The Buddha said this. So now you try and say I don't agree with the text. 25,000 verse Perfection of Wisdom Sutra, Buddha Shakyamuni in Rajgir is saying this. Now I want to see you no pervasion. The pair light and darkness are an example of contradiction through incompatibility. The way in which contradiction through incompatibility extends to how certain types of subjective mind act as opposing agents for other types of cognition that they exclude will be explained later, for it is extremely important to understand this key point. It's later, got it? This is direct realization of selflessness and ignorance. It comes up later. Okay? In our thing, where will it fit? In the fourth here, where you're understanding, in the third, where you're understanding how does selflessness lead to liberation, right? So it comes next year, and in the third year, it's where it's dealt in most detail, okay? Now, this is, okay, so should we stop here for today? And then we'll do the other one later, okay? So we stop at contradictory through incompatibility, okay? Yes? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Where's the other one? Yeah, so from the next paragraph, then we'll start with the other one. So let's stop here for contradictory, right? So there's two, contradictory through incompatibility, and one which is direct and one which is indirect. Hot and cold was direct. What is it? Strong, billowing smoke, and cold were indirect. Okay? Is that okay? Yeah, strong, billowing smoke. Like, that. You can use many examples. You know when you open the, when you just open the door of a sauna, there's that first hot smoke, just woof, like that. But then if you leave the door open for a while and you have a big hall, it spreads out everywhere and the heat diffuses. So if you see sauna smoke, like just floating around, soft sauna smoke, which is all very subtle is a bad word, but it's not like thick. Steam room, sorry. Where it's all everywhere? That's not going to counteract your cold sensation. But if you see that strong smoke coming out from the door, then you're like, if I go inside, then it'll be counteracted, right? But the presence of that is not directly counteracted. It's not the smoke that's directly counteracting the cold. It's the heat from which that steam is arising that is counteracting the cold. So the thick, dense steam that just opens when you open a steam room is the indirect phenomenon that is counteracting through incompatibility cold. And the heat is the one that's directly counteracting it. Okay?
What about heat and darkness?
Heat and darkness.
Yeah. What about heat and darkness? Because the light produces heat.
What do you think I'm going to say? There you go, yes. Now this is going to become, now I'm going to start giving you strict answers. Just this is going to be a standard reply. But from today, let's do one thing. From today you start challenging. Okay? So all of you slowly start challenging now. Now the thing is, you can't learn how to challenge. The only learning that you can do is, you've learned syllogisms, you've got all these weird relations that you've done so far, and now you felt again and again like you sometimes don't agree with the other person. Or you want to check whether what they're saying is correct, right? I'm sure that's happened enough times now, right? Now, slowly start testing that, okay? So start testing that, and test it through syllogisms, okay? And we start doing that in the afternoon, so you can start, we'll start challenging, okay?